Hey everyone, welcome back to the GRE How To channel, where we make studying for the GRE a lot more tolerable by tying it to a whole bunch of things that we actually care about. Today we are continuing the conversation and focusing on permutations. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about permutations. And if you haven't seen the last video where we talked about the difference between combinations and permutations, check it out. I'll put it in the card and put a link in the description below. So when it comes to permutations, the two questions that I discussed in the last video still hold today. You need to ask yourself, number one, does order matter? If order matters, then it's going to be a permutation. The second question is, can the items repeat? And that's especially important with permutations because the answer to that directs the kind of equation that you're going to go into. For example, if you have to create a password with 3 slots and you have 5 characters to choose from and you can repeat the items, well then that means that you can actually have 5 choices for the first slot, 5 choices for the second slot, and 5 choices for the third slot, and you just multiply them out. So for permutations that can repeat, it's really just taking the number of characters and raising it to the number of slots that it needs to fill, and you've got the number of arrangements that you can have. When it comes to permutations that have items that you can't repeat, then the number of options decrease with each slot. So let's just say Beyonce wants to show her gratitude to Kelly and Michelle by not standing in the middle when she has Destiny's Child out for the Coachella performance. It's so nice of her, right? First off, it'll probably be easier to see how many arrangements can you make of Destiny's Child in the first place. In the first slot, you have 3 options, in the second, you have 2 options, in the third, you only have 1 option because you can't repeat the ladies. We don't have clones of them yet, or holograms. So, altogether, there are 6 possible arrangements for Destiny's Child without restrictions. Now, we need to figure out how many of those arrangements have Beyonce in the middle, and that's 2. So, if you subtract the number of times Beyonce is in the middle from the total arrangements, then you have 4 possible combinations where Beyonce is not in the middle. You can have Kelly, Michelle, Beyonce. You can have Michelle, Kelly, Beyonce. You get the point. Now let's try something a little bit more difficult. Assuming that any arrangement of letters from a word, how many words of any length can be formed from the letters of the word square? So when I first saw this, I had to wrap my head around it a little bit. I was trying to figure out, okay, a word, what does that really mean? So in this scenario, a word could be 1 letter, okay, cool, and a word could be 2 letters, and then 3 letters, and then all the way up to 6 letters. Once I understood that, I realized that it's going to definitely still be a permutation because order does matter. AB counts as 1 word and BA counts as a word as well. So then I realized that I was going to have to do 6 permutations and then add them up. So I just started doing a grid. 1-letter word, there are 6 options all the way down to about 5, and then I saw that that was 720. At that moment, I stopped and looked at the answer choices and noticed that 720 was one of the answers there. And I knew that I was going to have to add up all of the arrangements of all of the words, from 1-letter words to 6-letter words. So from there, I knew, okay, then I can cross off 720, I can cross off the ones under that, and I looked at the greatest option and I knew that that was way too large to be an answer choice for this. The reason why I'm talking about this rationale is because the GRE is very much a time management test as well, and it's going to be a really great idea to get about 75% of the way of your computation and then taking a moment to just stop and look and see if you can logically deduce what the answer is from there. That would have saved me maybe 20 more seconds that I could dedicate to a harder question on the GRE. That's all we have for today. If you have any suggestions on topics to cover, please put them in the comments below. If this was helpful for you, I'd appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.